Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Rahab Bakr. Today we are going to continue Unit 7, all about sports grammar part. Let's see what is our grammar about. Okay, today we are going to talk about necessity and obligation. We can express necessity and obligation in many ways. As you can see here, we can use it's necessary or it's obligatory in order to express necessity or obligation. So we can say it's necessary for them to go to school on time. It's necessary for her to get a passport. We can also use different ways to express necessity. We can use the following modal verbs to show necessity. Must and have to. Okay, we have to go to school on time. She has to get a passport to travel to London. You must see a doctor. Okay, so we can use have to and must to express obligation. And there is a slight difference between the two words in the way they are used. Have to shows that the obligation comes from someone else than the speaker. For example, we have to be at the airport at least 2 hours before the flight. Another example, they have to wear their uniforms at school. On the other hand, must shows that the obligation comes from the speaker. For example, I must hand in my research tomorrow. Another example, I must call my parents. So, must shows obligation created by the person speaking, while have to shows obligation imposed from outside the speaker by rules or circumstances. For example, if you say, I have to go, this suggests that there is some external reason that requires you to go. But if you say I must go, it suggests you feel the need to go. Okay, so let's move ahead. For lack of necessity, we use it isn't necessary, or we use don't or doesn't have to, or don't or doesn't need to. So we use this expression to express lack of necessity. Okay? So, as in the example, it isn't necessary for her to hurry, which means that she is not late. It isn't necessary for them to buy bread, which suggests that they have bread already. She doesn't have to hurry, she isn't late for school. She doesn't need to hurry, she isn't late for school. They don't have to buy bread, there is much in the fridge. So, to express lack of necessity, we use don't have to, doesn't have to, or it isn't necessary, which shows that there is no obligation. You can do something if you want, but it is not an obligation. Okay, to form a question, you can use do or does, subject, and have to. Or is it necessary for object and verb stem? Does he have to buy the book? Is it necessary for him to buy the book? Okay, let's move ahead. To express necessity in the past, we can use it was necessary for object 2 plus verb stem, or had to, the modal had to. So I had to do my homework so I couldn't go out, which means it was necessary for me to do my homework. She had to go shopping, which means it was necessary for her to go shopping. For lack of necessity in the past, we use didn't have to or wasn't necessary. It wasn't necessary. So to express lack of necessity in the past, we can say he didn't have to write an email, which means it wasn't necessary for him to write the email. Dina didn't have to cook lunch, which means it wasn't necessary for her to cook lunch. Okay, let's move ahead. You can form a question using or asking about necessity or in the past. Did they have to take the money? Was it necessary for them to take the money? Did Ali have to sell his car? Was it necessary for Ali to take the car or to sell his car? So, to ask about necessity in the past, we can use did they have to, did plus subject plus have to, or was it necessary for object and to plus verb stem. Now, let's talk about prohibition. Okay, we use mustn't plus verb stem to express prohibition. Prohibition means what? Not allowed, forbidden, prohibited, against the law. So, must not or mustn't plus verb stem is used to show that something is prohibited or forbidden or not allowed or against the law. For example, you mustn't use your phone in class, which means it's not allowed for you to use your phone in class. As in the examples here, it is not allowed to park here. You mustn't park here. It is against the law to park here. It's forbidden to park here. It's prohibited to park here. Okay, we can use can't to express the idea of something that is against the rules. And mustn't usually means that it is the speaker who is setting the rule. Okay. Let's move ahead. Okay, now we have the grammar box. Let's sum all this together. Obligation and necessity. Have to, had to, and must, mustn't for obligation. We use have to or has to talk about rules or things that other people say are necessary. We have to go to school on time. She has to get a passport to travel to London. We use don't or doesn't have to talk about things that are not necessary. She doesn't have to hurry. She isn't late for school. The past simple form is had to, which is the same for all subjects. I couldn't go to the park yesterday because I had to finish my homework. The negative of the past simple is didn't or did not, plus have to, plus infinitive. We didn't have to do computer studies when we were at primary school. It shows lack of necessity in the past. Make questions with question word, did plus subject plus have to plus verb stem or infinitive. How long did you have to wait until the bus arrived? We use must and mustn't infinitive without to say that something is important to do or important not to do. You must see a doctor. You have been ill for a week. You mustn't park here. It is against the law. Now it's time to practice. Choose the correct answer. Use space to swim here. It's not allowed. Okay, now your turn to think and answer. Yes, exactly. You mustn't swim here. It's not allowed. It's necessary. Use space for the passport to travel abroad. You have to. Did they space visit the museum yesterday? Did they? Exactly, have to. They space buy sugar. There was no sugar at home. They had to buy sugar. There wasn't any at home. Okay. You space be at school on time. It's a rule. Yes, you must. What does Ali space do? Have to do. More. Practice. Rewrite the following sentences. It's necessary for him to study hard. Use must. Exactly. He must study hard. He must study hard. It's not you here because it's necessary for him, so you should use he must study hard here. It's a mistake here. Okay, so here you are going to use he must study hard. They have to do revision. Necessary. Okay, yes, exactly. It's necessary for them to do revision. Have to. It's necessary for her to cook lunch. Use have to. Yes. Does she have to cook lunch? So, when it is a question, you must use the question here. Is it necessary for her to cook lunch? Use have to, so you need to form another question. Does she have to cook the lunch? Do they have to sell the car? Use necessary. So you're going to form a question as well. We are missing a question mark here. Yes, exactly. Is it necessary for them to sell the car? It's necessary for them to arrive early. A must. A must here is a noun. Pay attention for this. So, the answer will be, is it a must for them to arrive early? Here, a must, which is equal to necessary. You are going to move the word necessary and use the word a must. It's against the law to park here. Use mustn't. Exactly. You mustn't park here. Now, we have come to the end of our show. I hope you have enjoyed it. Study well, and thank you for listening, and goodbye.